It's great to see all the smiling faces. I just flew in from Washington, just got here, and it's wonderful to see all of you. It's great to be back in Vegas. I want to thank the national chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition, Senator Norm Coleman. You can applaud. Hi, Norm. And the executive director, Matt Brooks, for leading this great organization at such an important time for not only our nation, but also for our most cherished ally, Israel. You could applaud that, come on. It's been a long day. I also want to thank my good friend, I don't know if you know Jeff Miller, but his tireless work on behalf of the pro-Israel community, and he's on the board. But before I begin, I do want to take a moment to remember and thank Sheldon and Dr. Miriam Adelson for everything they have done for this cause. There's no replacing a figure as towering in his vision, resolve, patriotism, and generosity as our friend Sheldon Adelson. But I'm determined we can all honor him by carrying on his mission. Sheldon was truly a mensch, and I will miss him dearly, but I will never forget his commitment to Israel, his fight to make sure that America and Israel always stayed right together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are just 367 days away from the midterm election. That means 360 more days till we retire Nancy Pelosi, all right? What a night Tuesday night was, right? Think about this. After 13 consecutive defeats in 2009, Virginia elects a Republican governor, the first woman Republican lieutenant governor, and an attorney general. But it wasn't just Virginia. Republicans in New York won city council seats, in Queens, in Brooklyn, along with Staten Island. In Minnesota, we rejected the defund the police movement, did we not? Did you hear about Texas? They had a special election. It was for the state house. Biden won the seat by 13 points. It was 73% Hispanic, and the Republican won it one more time. In Seattle, and yes, I did say Seattle, we also won. A Republican woman elected the city attorney, and a message of law and order. That is a message that we're winning. Now, to be fair, in New Jersey, we had some mixed results. There's some good news and there's some bad news. I'm first going to give you the good news. Did you all hear the story about the Republican truck driver with only less than $200 defeated the second most powerful Democrat in the state? That was amazing, was it not? You know what the bad news is? In Joe Biden's America, we just lost another truck driver. All right, now the serious part, and the part that you need to be involved in. Embedded within these numbers on Tuesday, a statistic in Virginia that I haven't seen the press talk about, a 10% decline among Jewish voters in support of Democrats. I don't believe that's an outlier. I believe this is a start of a trend. Voters are clearly saying they have had it with anti-Israel, pro-BDS sentiment being spewed by the Democratic Party. It is both sad and undeniable that an anti-Israel posture has taken root in their party. We saw it when some of their members openly opposed condemning anti-Semitic BDS movement. We saw it when some of their members wrongly accused of being Israel of an anti-apartheid state. And we have seen the negative sentiment culminate this past September. I never thought I would see this. The majority party, the Democratic Party, decided to pull $1 billion for the Iron Dome for Israel. It's more than just booing, people. Every new Congress, I lead the freshman Republican to Israel. When I took over, I went to Steny Hoyer and I said, you know what, you go 1 week, we go 1 week. Why don't we overlap a couple days? To make Israel not a partisan issue, a bipartisan issue it should be, and an American issue, that we speak with one voice. We did that. We would stay there 2-3 days together. You know what we'd do during those days? We would go together, Republican and Democrat, and go see the Iron Dome. I've got photos of us sitting there. You've got like almost 20% of the Congress at one time in a press conference together. But ever since Ilar and AOC elected, the Democratic Party has changed. As we move forward, the signs of a clear and the trends are unmistakable. A Republican wave is underway, and we stand by ready to lead. What I said, and I stand before you today, House Republicans will never tolerate the suppression, persecution, or silencing of the Jewish people. We understand that right now, in an era of instability, of gathering threats and growing influence of Western values, America needs leadership that affirms our values instead of apologizing for them. Under President Biden, we find ourselves in a weakened position, do we not? Not just here, but on the homeland. You know, when President Biden said he was going to bring us back, I didn't think he'd bring us back all the way to 1979. Have you ever thought of that? Think for one moment. When was the last time Americans were held hostage in the Middle East? When was the last time we saw gasoline prices rise to this level and the person in the White House asked OPEC to solve our problems instead of Americans right home where we could be energy independent? When was the last time in the White House the president had a family member like a Billy Carter and now a Hunter Biden? Hey, Billy could brew beer, but Hunter, I guess, can paint. But the great lesson we've learned from all of this, weakness invites chaos and conflict. Weakness creates a void, and bad actors are all too willing to fill in. And any strength and resolve can defeat them. Unlike President Biden, President Trump understood this, and together we acted. By rebuilding our military, withdrawing from the disastrous Iran agreement, and putting full pressure on the Iranian regime. But what were the results? It was not chaos, as critics predicted, but greater credibility. And you know what else happened? He kept his word and moved the embassy to Jerusalem, the rightful place it should be. Remember the fear everybody told us about that. What developed from there? Abraham Accords. You should applaud that. Peace through strength is the centerpiece. As we go to take back the House, the one thing I tell all members, we will always have Israel's back on the world stage. We will never set conditions on Israeli security assistance, and we will not revoke our commitments or renounce our values. America is grateful for our friendship. When I look to the other side of the aisle, what do I see? I see a movement. I see a party of JFK becoming a party of BDS. I watch their members criticize for our beliefs and criticize Israel. I watch a leadership in the Democratic Party say nothing. Not only do they say nothing to Omar, they reward her with the Foreign Affairs Committee. I make this promise to you. When I am Speaker, she will not serve on the Foreign Affairs Committee. We must go beyond this, though. As I talked about in my opening talk, 10% of the Democratic Jewish vote has left them. We must welcome them. There are those on the other side that understand that the Democrats are wrong, that they do not believe in the BDS movement. They do not believe in the anti-Israel movement. We need to welcome them into our party. This is the organization that should lead it. This is the organization that should adopt it. This is the organization that should grow it. Just as Ronald Reagan, remember, he started as a Democrat, then he woke up and became a Republican. But he did that on a basis of understanding. And when he won, he said he would be a president for all, that he would welcome everybody in. We want our peace through strength. We want to keep our commitment, and we want others to join with us. You know the great thing about that? We worked late into the night last night, but I have a few wonderful members that are here. There's nobody greater than Lee Sheldon of New York who's running for governor. Or Billy Long of Missouri. If you don't support Billy, he'll throw an auction and you'll end up giving to his campaign and not knowing it. Our first Green Beret, Mike Waltz. Have you met this new superstar, Brian Donalds of Florida? Where is he? Just stand up. You want to meet him. Look, our fight is one that we need to unite on. In 1980, Ronald Reagan said, "I will carry our message to every American, regardless of party affiliation, who is a member of this community and of shared values." My message to you today, there may be a friend you argued with in the last 4 years, maybe at your synagogue. Reach out to them because they have heard what the other side has been saying. The critical. Ask them about, is it right to stay in a party that won't stand with Israel or would cut money for an Iron Dome, a defense mechanism to save those we love? Is it right to stand against Omar on her message? I say the answer is yes. Have them join a party that believes in a philosophy and a principle, that understands America and Israel are our greatest allies. You know, in my office, I have this one portrait. It's a portrait of Washington crossing the Delaware. You've all seen that famous portrait, have you not? In my office, I had a friend paint it. Have you ever heard the story of who actually painted it? Hunter. That was the best line of my whole speech. No, I couldn't afford Hunter's painting. So I bought a Picasso. No, this painting wasn't even painted by an American. It was a German immigrant who had lived in America. He wasn't there on the day that it happened, December 25th, 1776. You know why he painted it? Because he knew America was more than a country. America was an idea about freedom. And when he went to Germany, he wanted Germany to have a revolution based upon our values. His talent was art, so he painted this painting based upon a story that he was told. He gets it historically incorrect, because if you look at the Delaware, it looks like the Rhine, but he's German. We give him a break for that, right? He puts Washington in a rowboat when historians tell us he crossed in a Durham boat. He puts 13 people in the boat, but he only shows you 12 faces. Why would he pick 13? 13 colonies, right? He puts Washington standing up in a rowboat, crossing the Delaware in the middle of winter, with his hand on his chest, wearing a ceremonial uniform. You look at Washington, he's so stoic, you bet, that man has never lost a battle. But history tells us at that moment in time, he had never won one. You see, that was our first victory when we surprised the Hessians. But when you go home to look at this picture, I don't look at Washington. I bring this picture up because when I look at the picture, I see you. You see, the second person rowing is Scottish. The person directly across from rowing in the exact same cadence is African American. You come down to the boat in the middle in the red, the person looked like the very strongest is a woman. And in the very back is a Native American. I can't tell you from a historic point of view if they were in the boat that night, but to this young immigrant who had lived in America, that's who he believed would be in the boat. The second to last person is a farmer, and he has his hand across his face, and it's the hand of the 13th person nobody sees. You see what Emmanuel was saying? Here we are, not a nation, but an idea. Having lost every battle, the odds that were against us, but willing to risk it again for the concept of freedom. Here's a hand, would you get in and join us? That's as true today as it was then. If we allow these anti-Semitic beliefs to continue, not just on our college campuses, but what is being said on the halls of Congress. If we allow this movement of socialism to destroy our nation, we will not succeed. Yes, the waters will get rough, but if there's anything that Tuesday taught us, the tide is turning. We need a few more people in the boat, and for a Republican Party, we need to row together. Otherwise, we'll go in circles. And when we get to the other side, I promise you this, not only will tomorrow be better than today, the world will be safer because Israel will have a stronger ally that never doubts them, and Iran will have a real problem on their hands. Thank you very much, and God bless.